This was all supposed to be Flesh and Blood. What happened? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. Today, I've got to clean up my room a little bit, this little back room. So we're gonna do that while I do a video. We're gonna talk a little bit about this kind of shift in the market, in the world of collectible card games. I want to react to a comment in yesterday's video that was saying I was being negative to Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering. I want to address that because I think the comment was very fair. And for the record, I do read all the comments. I don't really respond to the ones that aren't negative. I don't know why that is. It's just, I guess, it's just a lot to, I appreciate you. It's just a lot to respond to everything. I feel like the negative ones, I just want to thank the people for being here on the channel and for, I appreciate the comments too, the nice ones. Anyway, moving on. I want to talk in this video a little bit about this kind of paradigm shift, and I think I've wrongly blamed it on Wizards of the Coast, maybe. I mean, Wizards of the Coast has left a lot of room, but I also think there's just some other things. So let's start with this video. We're gonna kind of, I got some boxes. I finally got an Ultimate Masters box. See, I haven't had one of these. I know, like, I'm collecting, you know, Magic the Gathering now. I want to do an Ultimate Masters box. Anyway, you know what? I used to think Rudy was going to be right about Ultimate Masters, and I still can't believe this box didn't go up to 500. Anyway, let's talk about this world where we have Kickstarter games popping up left and right. We have, you know, MetaZoo completely going to the moon right now. Things that are just happening like absolutely crazy. And why is this happening in the marketplace? And here's what I want to say. This is kind of the main, if you're still here already, I know you probably already clicked away. Here's the main kind of point here. Not everything has to be as big as Magic the Gathering. I feel like a lot of the times when I'm guilty of this myself. You know, like there's a new Kickstarter game. It's called Final Destination, Final Redemption TCG. Somebody reached out to me, you know, sent me the thing and looked at it. I was just like, my gut reaction was like, no, it'll never be as big as Magic the Gathering. And then I was like, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be as big as Magic the Gathering. Why do I compare me? Like, I'm talking to me. I know, like, you're here, but like, I'm talking to me. Like, why do I compare things to Magic the Gathering? Like, things can still be successful and not be Magic the Gathering IP massively huge. Like, for Flesh and Blood, like, this is something I realize is like, Flesh and Blood doesn't need to be a massive game. It just needs to be a good game. And I've said this a lot in the channel. I gotta put stuff away. Anyway, I've said this a lot in the channel. Like, it doesn't have to be a massive game. It just has to be a good game. It has to fill that role for the people who are playing it. And this is something I think that's really important. Because I think that there's been a paradigm shift in the collectible world as a result of COVID. Also, I do think that Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, left a huge gap where there were some people who were unhappy. I was one of those people. I was looking, look, I have commander decks, and look at this. Can you see that? Oh wait, I have to hit this button. I have commander decks, and I put these little, oh, where's that button? Look, I hit this button. Oh, I don't want to mess anything up. There we go. I made these like awesome little things for my commander decks. Like, I put so much time and effort into it. And so why was I upset with Magic? And the point being, and like, I don't want to harp on Magic the Gathering, but they left a huge space where like old time Magic the Gathering players I feel like they left a gap where like I didn't feel like they were trying to be a card game anymore. And like, that's fine. Like, I have nothing against Wizards of the Coast for that. But for me, like, I want to be in love with a card game, not just the collectible side of it. I want to be excited about playing. And like with Magic the Gathering, they started releasing all these sets, and the power level is so huge, and it just kind of, it took me away from like having a deck that was built. So when I have to have this is my commander deck, when I have to upgrade the deck with a million different cards, it just kind of took me out of it. And that's fine. Like for me personally, that's where it is. Like for you, that might be different. But what this, I feel like it did is it opened up this door. And then in the middle of the pandemic, the door opened even wider where like you can have these other games like MetaZoo or, you know, Flesh and Blood is a little bit of a bigger scale, but like MetaZoo or whatever, where the pockets of people, in other words, you don't need to go into an LGS to experience the game anymore. Because there's communities that were built as a result of the pandemic, and because there's this online scene, and because there's just this perspective shift or paradigm shift in the world of TCGs that has just opened up the door for smaller card games to be successful without being the next, you know, top 4 TCG. Now, I do want to say, like, I think that the goal of Flesh and Blood is bigger than that. The goal of Flesh and Blood is not to be like another small TCG that's successful, but like isn't, you know, huge. The goal of Flesh and Blood, I really do think, is to push its way into the top 4. I really believe it will. But I'm right now talking about like the wider scope, these other Kickstarter games that are popping up. Like, what does it mean to be successful? It doesn't have to be this. Like, it just doesn't have to. And so I think that's a paradigm shift. Like, I think like there's a lot of things like you don't need this huge local scene in order to experience a game. You can, with you and your friends, draft a couple new games, and you can back something on Kickstarter for $100, $200, play it with your friends, have a great experience with it without it having to overtake like the culture of TCGs. And that's different. Like, that's a new thing. And I think that's a result of, our attitude shift with the pandemic. I think for me it is, at least. Like, I don't wake up and I have an LGS like in town, right? Like, but like my gut is like to wake up and like communicate with the people I've been communicating for a year online. So I think there's a shift in our dynamics where like we have these different, just this different culture now that's bigger than the people around you. And I think LGSs have to embrace that and find ways to embrace that and find ways to embrace a online culture as well as a, you know, individualized like local scene. But what I think is going to happen is that a lot of these games that are popping up aren't going to have to rely on an LGS, a local game store. It really creates a new, unique perspective then for an LGS. That's not really the point of the video. The point of this video is to just say, like, I think the door is wide open for other card games to come in and to be successful in their own realm without having to have thousands of different sets over the course of 30 years to be able to be considered successful. Now what I want to talk about is like, what is success? What years, like how long does a TCG need to stick around in order to be successful? Because I do know like there's a lot of TCGs that end up getting, you know, purchased from another company, but I think what the goal of a TCG should be is to become sustainable and be able to sustain both like a secondary market type thing where it's like it's able to last well for the players who got involved early. Like I think that's really important, but also just to keep on being able to grow at a, like what right now we're seeing a lot of games grow like this. They're going straight up, and like I'm not sure that is like I was talking to George the other day. And one of the things I said to George is I was like, man, like I feel like do you feel like the player base of Flesh and Blood has stagnated? And I don't know if George wants me to say this, but George said, yeah, and he was glad about it. He said, I think it's healthy. I was like thinking, like, why is that healthy? And then the more I thought about it, like I agree, like it's healthy that the player base is going up but at a steady pace. Like that is so much more important than like it just jumping up instantaneously. And so I think that's what these games should be looking for, like after they get their Kickstarter accepted or like backed or whatever, is how do I like maintain some growth, you know, 20%, 30%, 40% growth year to year of new players coming in, and then not shooting for like this massive thing all of a sudden. And so when I look at these new games, like I do want to experience them. Like I really have been toying around with the idea of doing like a like a weekly or monthly video or live stream where I'm like learning to play a new game, whether that be a board game. Like I used to back board games all the time. I used to have a board game group that met every Thursday night. The pandemic kind of ruined that. But I would love to get that group back together and play and do a live stream of like a new board game every single week. I think it would be a ton of fun for me, which is what the channel is about. Hopefully it would be fun for you, like as you enjoy, like watch somebody else enjoy it. But like I would love to experience some of these new TCGs and like just hop into them without like being like, can this be the next Magic the Gathering? It doesn't need to be the next Magic the Gathering. And that's the point. So I feel like the world's changed. I'm not getting anything done here, I know. But I feel like the world's changed. I feel like reacting to that comment in the comment section of like, why do you compare everything to Magic the Gathering? I think that's fair. It doesn't need to be Magic the Gathering. Like I used to say that, and I had to really like take a deep breath back and think about that again. Like, it doesn't have to be Magic the Gathering to be successful. It just needs to grow. It just needs to be acquiring new players over time, and not even players from Magic the Gathering. Now, I will say, like, there is a finite amount of money in the TCG world, right? Like, you can't afford to play Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Weiss Schwartz, this new Final Redemption TCG on Kickstarter, this MetaZoo, like you can't afford to play all of them. You have to pick and choose. So there is a finite amount of money for each individual in a TCG world. But I think just growing and being able to, like, you don't have to pull from Magic the Gathering doesn't have to fail for these other games to succeed. It's just a question of what does success look like. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I really want to do this like stream where I play new games, and so like this is like a little bit of a prelude to that, I guess. We'll see if I can get the group together or what. But anyway, hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to people around you, and remember, things don't have to fail in order for other things to succeed. So, hope you have a good one. Talk to you later.